Hey guys, it's Rob with a new video. I want to say that to stay tuned through this video because I am going to show you some new stuff that nobody knows about our planet. And it's pretty cool actually, so you should really check it out. But before I show you all that, I want to take on something head on here. And the thing is that I have subscribers that have taken a chance on listening to me. And I have the electric universe theory people taking a chance listening to me also, and my crazy theories. And the thing is that I realize that I'm one person. It doesn't make sense that one person could be right when there's a planet full of trained geologists, geophysicists, seismologists, and just earth scientists that claim a certain thing about the planet, and I'm claiming something completely opposite. It doesn't make sense that they would be wrong and I could be right. But that's the weird thing about this, is that I have the truth on my side, and I know that under the tightest scrutiny that it's gonna ring true no matter what. I can tell already. So I don't mind taking on a geologist here in an argument at all. The problem is that we got to understand what we're arguing here. In scientific method, theories are created from an accumulation of facts and observations. Nowhere can the theory decide which observations or which facts support it. It doesn't get that option. It doesn't get to pick and choose what observable evidence or observations it will allow to support it. It has to be supported by all of it, or it has to be thrown out. And that's the beauty of scientific method, is that strict rules. It's to keep from making big screw-ups. And what I'm claiming is that geology has gone ahead and just bypassed scientific method altogether. And because so, they've screwed up from the beginning, and they have a big problem. And so here, let me just show you that what I'm claiming I can defend against anybody, even a geologist. And let's just start off by saying he's a really good guy, by the way. But I get annoyed when people just refuse to get it or see it or anything. So, anyways, he says, "I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry to say this, but this has nothing to do with geophysics." Okay, he's talking about my, the title of it, mind-blowing geophysics. He says, geophysics literally has everything to do with the Earth except the surface features. Okay, so this is what he's claiming, that I screwed this up. But the problem is I guess maybe he doesn't understand what my claims are. My claims are that the planet is covered with reoccurring patterns on the surface. But I'm claiming that these reoccurring patterns have to be reoccurring patterns of the Earth's core when the Earth was being created. That's just, when looking at all what I've looked at, it's the only thing that makes sense. These patterns have to be internal. They can't be. They have to be made, and I'm guessing that they're made by the planet's core. And our modern science has got it backwards when they look at planets. When they see planets, what they believe is that gravity accumulates these fine particles together, and then they just keep attracting to each other until they just build up into a giant planet. And then all of a sudden it has plates, and and it kind of just doesn't make sense to me. It sounds like a lot of technical stuff, but from a simple process of gathering matter, well, it doesn't make any sense. And then then they have the iron core producing our magnetic fields. When hot iron doesn't produce magnetic fields in real life, anybody can see that with a lighter and a magnet. But yet they're going to base all the magnetic fields. They're going to base that on iron core, despite it. And their claims are because there's so much iron that it has a weak magnetic field. Well, even so, if that were true, magnetic fields from iron doesn't fluctuate. It doesn't get weaker and stronger and stuff like that unless it gets hotter, but none of that makes any sense. What makes sense is that what truly makes electromagnetic fields is electricity. And I'm claiming that the core of our planet is plasma, and that the reoccurring patterns on the surface are images of that plasma. That's what of its development into our planet. And so let's continue. So basically, he's wrong. The surface features are what's telling me what's inside the planet. Okay, so right there, he doesn't understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so I said, what I told him is that you don't understand what I'm showing you. I'm going to show you something your science doesn't know and can't see yet. But but I'm going to change that. So he still insists that doesn't matter. He says geophysics is a proven science. Where do you think that oil that you use in your car comes from? Well, it doesn't come from geophysics, okay? I could tell you that. But what is odd is that in geology they claim that oil takes millions of years to develop inside the earth or whatever, But they can make oil in 6 months in a lab. So what they're claiming isn't actually true. If it could be made 6 months in a lab, it could be made 6 months underground too. So, and they base a lot of their findings off of oil and that dating period of oil and coal, by the way. So anyways, I tell him, he says it's a proven science. I told him it's not a settled science, and to think so, it's not scientific method. Tell me how anything that you know about either fields discredit these alignments, and better yet, explain why these alignments even exist. That's the thing here. The bottom line is I'm showing observable evidence that geology, geophysics, they're all ignoring. Okay, these reoccurring patterns cover the entire planet, and because they're reoccurring, they should be important, but they're not being noticed, and they're being ignored. So when they claim that they're proving me wrong, what I'm claiming is then the only way they can prove me wrong is to prove that these reoccurring patterns aren't reoccurring and they're not aligning. Okay, that's the bottom line. It doesn't matter what theory you believe, how your dating processes. None of that discredits that these are aligning, because these are observable evidence. They're not arguing my theory. They're arguing against my observable evidence, and they don't get it. They think that it's my theory. They think it's my theory that these are lining up, but it's not my theory. It's fact that they're lining up, and that's why I'm showing in videos over and over again. So when they finally get that part, what happens is, okay, look, this is let's see here. Okay, geophysics is not a settled science. To think so is not scientific method. Tell me how anything that you know about the fields discredit the alignments. Better yet, explain why these areas align using your knowledge of geology. You are working with a failed theory, because if you were not, you would be able to explain these. So of course what happens then, the trolls do this too. They all of a sudden they pretend that they don't align. That's their argument. That's what, when I get down to it, they use their last option, and that's to claim that the alignments aren't aligning. And that's their biggest mistake, because that's where I have them. You don't understand. Scrutiny is my friend. Okay, he says, of course it's not completely settled, but it's more about getting a clearer picture. Yeah, that's right. And not if you're right or wrong. You should look at some of the seismic surveys done, because they are pretty damn clear. Well, actually they can be misread, and they're not clear. Okay? They claim that they can tell what's in the core of the planet by measuring size, the speed that the earthquake waves travel through. They can measure the time, and they can automatically decipher what material it's going through. Well, is that just one type of material? But what happens if there's a mixture of materials? They don't account for that stuff. What happens if there's more? What happens, let's say, if there isn't just a big ball of iron? Maybe it's iron and water, or maybe it's iron and something else. They don't know that. How could they possibly know that? And then they come up with the most craziest stuff. Now they're claiming that the iron has certain crystals that that are facing a certain direction now and all. I mean, that just sounds like shit, dude. It's just ridiculous. How could they possibly know that? They can't, but they claim to, and it's ridiculous. Anyways, so where was I here? Okay. He says, I don't really care about surface features seen from space. Well, there you go. See, he's picking and choosing what observations will support his theory. He's screwed up. He can't do that. Okay, so he's trying to make it look as if my recurring patterns are actually pointless and meaningless. But that's not true, because I'm going to prove that. And what did he say here? Yeah, it's just on and on. Basically, okay, so here he says, this is where he goes to his backup plan. A lot of the patterns are just vague linear features matching with other vaguely linear features or vaguely oval-shaped stuff. But, you would see that one feature is a Rift Valley. He doesn't get me, okay? I'm done with this. Okay. He says it looks pretty vague to me. That's his argument. That I have trolls that just straight up say that they don't line up. Okay, so let me just go to show you something new. Remember this area right here? I showed you how Africa fits in there. Remember, he says this is vague right here, by the way. Remember, I showed you how that lines up there. He says, "Oh, this is a Rift Valley." Well, Well, look at the complicated image here. This is complicated. Look, but look how it fits in. I already showed you this yesterday. I clicked it in over and over again. I showed fits all the way down. You can literally see this right here and this related. Okay, I could show you that as I move this along, it fits over and over again because these are images of the core right here. These are giving away the secrets of the creation of our planet, the twisting and the breaking apart. I believe is the creation of the North and the South Pole being pulled away from one another, and the energy that is released. Look at how it refits again. I'm claiming that rift valleys and rivers are actually electrical discharge patterns, and this is ultimately related to electrical. And this is where geology has made a huge mistake from the beginning. They left out electrical as being a part of anything important in anything that they do, when it's the most important force known to us. It's in everything. Our cars, our phones, even life itself is electromagnetic. And yet they're going to think that it has nothing to do with the creation of a planet or a star. They must be out of their mind. Anyways, so remember I showed you this. I showed you how this one right here fit in between here. Now he claims this is vague. Okay, out of a planet that's supposedly full of randomness, how could this possibly be considered vague? Look at the features, how they fit in all the way down. There's a reason for that, but I wanted to show you something new about this area. When he says vague, does he mean like that? Does that look vague to you as a match? I mean, really look at it. When I snap it in right there, look at Australia half on, half off the continent. But when I pull Australia off, you can see here. Look. And this moves too. So you can see that as I move it, it fits. You can see that these match up over and over again because they're reoccurring patterns. See, look at that. Take a look. Look how the dots here on the ocean floor follow the same patterns. Look at how I move that over and that lines up. He's going to tell me that he's not interested in images from space of the surface of our planet, when I'm claiming that these surface features reveal the inner workings of our planet. But check it out. If that's not weird enough, okay, that's North America. Here's the same one. Here's South America. Is that vague? Look at the alignment here. Look at when I pull this down, there's that part that's twisting and breaking off. But better yet, let's take a good close look at Florida. Here's Florida. When I bring this right here up to Florida, you can see how Florida just fits right alongside of it. You can see that that nipple or whatever that's sticking out here is related to this. This swirling right here is. But let's take this out though. Let's move this out so you can see how it lines up with the features on Florida. I should get a close-up shot of this. But like I said, under the tightest scrutiny, these will line up. These markings with Florida. You can see the line running down the center of Florida. There it is again. Look how it wraps around, hits it, and blows over it. Here we go again with Florida. Here we go, getting close to the Marianas Trench. You can see that these are related to Florida. See, look at the features. That's not vague, because it's doing it over and over again, because it's a pattern. These reoccurring patterns are probably the most important thing ever to geology and geophysics, and yet they ignore it. It tells me that they're not interested in the truth. They're interested in plate tectonics, and they could care less about the truth. That's what it boils down to. See that? That's amazing. See how it continues to line up. The trolls and then people that argue with me about this try to downplay these alignments, but anybody can tell that this is important, and to ignore them is ignorant, and it just shows that people aren't interested in the truth. Well, at least the scientists. But look, put this over on North America, and you got the same alignments. A little bit different, but they're aligning still. Don't you think that's worth investigating if you're a scientist? Look at what I claim is rotation, and then in here you can see it too. See how they line up? Ultimately like that. But you can see, look, I could do this all day long. You'll see that the alignments here as I move it and swirling. This is creation. I'm claiming this is the core of the planet here. And these are images of it as it's creating the surface features. Okay, here's the Hudson Bay. Here's some of the processes that created it, that gouged it out. Look, you can see that. Look at how the alignments line up. The Great Lakes, look. Gouging of the Great Lakes right here, look. And all anybody has to do is do their own alignments to see it even better. I don't fear any scrutiny whatsoever. Check it out though, right? Pretty good. Look. By the way, there's something better coming that I gotta show you guys. This is really turning into something amazing. And if you guys stay tuned, I'm going to show you something amazing about our well, I've been showing you stuff that nobody knows about, but ultimately I want to show you the Eye of the Sahara and its origins, and I'm going to show you just the craziest stuff. You're not going to believe it. It's insane. So I hope you guys stick around, and I just want to see, I want to prove my point that I'm right, and that I can hold my ground against a geologist, a geophysicist, in an argument or a debate, and that the people that actually believe in me can do so with confidence, that they're witnessing something amazing here that our science doesn't know about. Thanks for watching, guys.